All right, Amy, I think we should go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Radcliffe. I live in New Carlisle, and I am a member of the Open Space and Agriculture Alliance. On behalf of all the sponsors of this forum, I wish to welcome candidate Mr. Harsh Patel and the audience participants. For all of those attending tonight, we ask that you please use the chat function to share your name, your city of residence, and any relative organization with which you are affiliated. Thank you.
And my name is Rabbi Michael Friedland. I'm the rabbi at Sinai Synagogue, which is in the 3rd District, and I also live in the 3rd District. I want to let Mr. Patel know that Ann Hayner is going to be our timekeeper this evening. She'll be holding up a sign to give you a 30-second heads up before the time is up for your answer. There you go, there's a sign, and indicate when the time is up. The St. Joe, a little introduction to who we are, Faith in Indiana, St. Joe County. The St. Joe County chapter of Faith in Indiana has 17 member congregations and community groups. We're in relationship with many more congregations. We are Catholic and Jewish and Pentecostal. We are brown and black and white. We support our members in building power to address issues that impact our families and neighbors. We have worked in the past couple of years with the sheriff, the South Bend mayor, county commissioners, and the county health department to address issues of immigration, treatment, not incarceration, police accountability, and COVID testing on the West Side. We're also part of a statewide network that is currently having deep conversations with thousands of voters, especially people of color, women, and young adults. Helping them to know their voice and their vote is important. And we are very glad to be hosting this event with our sister organization in the work for racial and economic justice, ACT Indiana, and with the Open Spaces and Agricultural Alliance.
The Open Space and Agricultural Alliance is a grassroots group of farmers, environmentalists, and everyday people in St. Joe County, united to stop the Indiana Enterprise Center and to protect our farmland, water, and the health of our communities. We launched in spring of 2018 when we discovered a plan to develop an industrial park on 22,000 acres of farmland, acreage roughly the size of the city of South Bend. Since this discovery, we have worked with county commissioners, members of the county council, area plan commission, county drainage board, and redevelopment commission to address concerning issues about the Indiana Enterprise Center plan and to increase transparency in county government. We are glad to be here tonight with Faith in St. Joe County and ACT Indiana to increase awareness of issues that connect us across St. Joe County. Thank you.
Okay, so the purpose of tonight's forum is to build a relationship with the candidates for County Commissioner District 3, and also to engage with candidates on issues that help our constituency make informed decisions. So here's the format for tonight. We're going to engage a little bit more than half an hour with Mr. Patel, and then when that concludes, then we'll give equal time to Ms. Deb Fleming. And within each block of time, we're going to give Mr. Patel an opportunity to introduce himself and explain why he's running. Then there are going to be 4 questions on 4 topics, with a follow-up question in each. We're time limited tonight, so hopefully we ask that you be concise in your answers. And then at the end, we'll give you an opportunity to make a closing statement. And this session is being recorded and will be made available to the public.
At this time, I invite Mr. Patel to please introduce yourself, your values, and why you are running for County Commissioner. You have 2 minutes in which to do so.
All right, I'll keep a close eye on Ann. So thank you very much for this opportunity to be here with all of you. I'm very familiar with Faith in Indiana. We've worked with your executive director, Shoshan, when I was on the congressional side, also with ACT Indiana, and then of course, more recently with Open Spaces. Let me give you a description of the boundary of the 3rd District. I'm just gonna go by high schools. It's St. Joseph High School, Marion High School, Trinity, Adams, Mishawaka, and Penn. So those are kind of the schools. My background, I attended Catholic grade schools on the west side of South Bend, or Catholic grade school on the west side of South Bend, St. Joseph High School, and then graduated from Notre Dame with a degree in political science and economics. After that, I spent 22 years working on the congressional side in the House and Senate, let me tell you some of the projects that I worked on during that time. I was involved with a group called Save the Dunes. Many of you may be familiar with that. Was involved with the national parks and with legislation and also funding to help improve the national parks. Worked with the Hoosier National Forest to help preserve forestry in Indiana, in Northwest Indiana, East Chicago. Heavily involved in the remediation of the lead in the homes where kids and families were living. Very familiar and worked on agriculture policy and the Farm Bill. Worked on economic development projects. I'm also involved in healthcare, and have worked on a variety of different energy projects, such as solar, wind, biofuels, and renewables. So let me just share this with you. The theme that you're going to hear throughout this discussion this evening is going to be LEAD, L-E-A-D. That's to listen, to engage, to be accessible, and to be decisive with your tax dollars. And you'll hear that when it deals with healthcare, when it deals with the jail and incarceration. You're going to hear about it with sustainable economic development, and then with tips. I'm ready for your next question.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. For the first two questions on specific issues, we will turn the program over to ACT Indiana. Clara Davis has the first question for you.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Clara Davis, and I'm a member of Abundant Faith Family Ministries, which is located in District Number 3. I have worked for 7 years in healthcare. I'm also a certified community health worker. I have a son who had COVID, and it was a very stressful situation to my entire family. Our community has suffered greatly during this pandemic, and I'm quite sure you already are aware of that. Mr. Patel, Indiana is 49th out of 50th in funding for public health. The St. Joseph County Health Department has been underfunded many years compared to Elkhart and Allen County Health Departments. We are all aware that our health department is vital during a pandemic, but in normal times, it is also needed to address infant mortality, adverse childhood experiences, and other health issues in our community. With proper funding from the county, the pay scale at the health department could be more competitive. They could hire community health workers and take other steps to make our community more healthy. If elected, would you work to increase funding for St. Joseph County Health Department? You have 2 minutes.
Great, Clara. Thank you for that question. I hope your family member is doing well. My goal when I'm elected county commissioner is to change the headlines and end the controversy. And I'm going to, again, use it using LEAD, L-E-A-D, to listen, engage, be accessible, and be decisive with the tax dollars. We need to make sure that and by the way, I work in healthcare. I work for a hospital system over in Mishawaka. We deal with countless, I think we've tested 31,000 people for COVID, just to kind of give you an idea since this has started, and I track this stuff. My role with the health system, I'm their director of political advocacy. So I'm advocating on not only behalf of the hospital, but of the community already and the surrounding counties when it comes to healthcare policy, not only on the CARES Act and COVID, but well beyond that stuff, including, the Affordable Care Act and issues dealing with pre-existing conditions and that sort of stuff. So I'm already involved. Our health system is very involved with the county health department. In fact, I'm involved with the surrounding county health departments already. When I worked on the congressional side, we worked on the Affordable Care Act, as I may have mentioned already. Back in the early 2000s, when I was in the congressional side, we sat side by side with our congressional office, did with the health department and other stakeholders in the community to prepare for a pandemic. And lo and behold, we're here, and it's completely different than we ever imagined. There's federal funding of $150 billion in the Coronavirus Relief Fund that St. Joseph County is currently tapping into. That expires at the end of this year. We need to continue to advocate and make sure that there's more funding available for our health department because they do so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a follow-up question. will you press for increased funding for the state of Indiana for local health departments? You have 90 seconds.
Ask me the question again. Press the state for?
Okay. If elected, how would you press for increased funding from the state of Indiana for local health department?
Sure, absolutely. Very simple. So what I would do is, my background is I've already worked, I'm on the Democrat side. I worked with Governor Holcomb when he was a state director for Senator Coates. I have a relationship with the governor's office. My job right now with the healthcare system, I already work with the State Department of Health. I work with state legislators, both Democrats and Republicans, on advocating for healthcare policy. So it would be nothing new for me to advocate on behalf of the citizens of St. Joseph County, as I've already been doing, not as an elected official, but as someone who works for a hospital system in that capacity. It would, and I advocate on the federal side too. So with our congressional delegation. So you really get a full plate when you elect me county commissioner when it comes to advocacy for the county health department, local, state, and federal levels.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patel. Just one more question. So if I'm understanding with clarity here, you would work to increase funding for St. Joseph County from what we have now. You would work toward that goal for St. Joseph County.
Absolutely. In fact, I would go after and unearth more money because there's federal funding that goes to the state. And so encouraging our federal delegation to support funding, that funding comes to the state, make sure that the state is aware of the issues going on in St. Joseph County, and push that we receive some of those funds. Later on, I'll probably touch on a little bit of that. There are federal dollars out there for mental health and other programs.
Thank you, Mr. Patel, so much.
Thank you, Clara.
Mr. Patel, I'm Rhonda Hughes. I'm a longtime member of Broadway Christian Parish United Methodist Church in District 3. As a volunteer, I do advocacy work with our hospitality guests, most of whom are currently homeless or semi-homeless. And in normal times, I visit our guests who are in the county jail. The St. Joseph County jail population went from 48 in the mid-1970s to 620 at the beginning of this year. Many people in the jail have struggled with mental health and substance abuse issues. We do not have a medical detox in our county that takes Medicaid patients. The jail is the de facto detox center in St. Joe County and a place where many people first get mental health treatment. We believe that as a county and a community, we can do better. Our question to you, how would you address the dramatic increase in our county jail population and the challenges with access for many in our community to mental health and substance abuse services? If elected, will you pursue ongoing funding for recovery coaches and street outreach workers to help those struggling with substance abuse, mental health challenges, and chronic homelessness? You have 2 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much for that question. And everyone, when you just call me Hodge, I prefer to go by Hodge, so appreciate that. Yeah, I will definitely, public safety is very important, right, to everybody. And so I would be very focused on that. Addiction is a disease, right? I don't think people want to be addicted. There's something that happens in their brain that once they start taking certain drugs, they just become highly addicted to it. And I'm very aware of the workers that follow folks that are addicted, and they partner with hospitals and jails and that sort of stuff. When we're in the Senate, we help support that. I have a great relationship with the sheriff and with the prosecutor. And in preparation for today's discussion, I had a conversation with both the sheriff and the prosecutor. And I already know that I know you mentioned it in the introduction, but they're already working with you guys on a number of projects and have sat in on meetings. Obviously, it's slowed up with the coronavirus, but I'm sure that'll pick up soon. And so I understand, that property crime, 85% of that happens, and it's usually tied to folks that have addictions. I used to volunteer at the homeless center in South Bend for 20 years, from when I was a freshman in college through 2012, that I volunteered at the Center for the Homeless. And I did that because I knew I could, one, I could learn from people, but two, through that process, I learned that I could easily be one of those folks because there were folks with a variety of different educations and backgrounds. In the last 30 seconds, let me tell you what I would do. So there's federal funding out there for Law Enforcement Mental Health Wellness Act. That helps our law enforcement officers. There's also federal funding for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. I would work with them to secure money. And they don't actually put in program. What they do is help programs. They don't have a treatment program necessarily. And it would be for mental health, for substance abuse, and for preventative programs. So the work that you're doing, I would certainly support, and I would support the other elected officials in that.
Thank you. You've covered part of our follow-up, but let me ask nevertheless, would you also partner with Faith in Indiana, the sheriff, Oaklawn, and other community groups to pursue that funding, both from county resources and from the state of Indiana, for a low barrier intake hub or crisis stabilization unit that serves as an alternative to taking someone with substance abuse or mental health challenges to the ER or to the jail? You have 90 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of that whole lead thing is making sure everyone has a seat at the table. And I would do that. When we worked on the congressional side, we would always ask if someone had said, hey, will you support an initiative? All right, how much buy-in is there in the community? And in fact, the list of folks that you cited, I would go beyond that. I would solicit the support of the mayor and of the business community, of neighborhood associations, you name it, across the board, church organizations, because it has to be a holistic approach. So I would definitely, support that effort to do that. It costs us less to treat somebody than to keep them incarcerated, and then we have to pay for additional police, and we have to feed them, and we have medical bills. So what we need to do is find a safe, affordable, and impactful way to mitigate, folks with addiction and mental health issues. And I didn't want that card up again, so.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Our next question is from Chris Humberger.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Chris Humberger. I'm a lifelong resident of the New Carlisle area. I live near several thousand acres of farmland that two of the present county commissioners have endeavored to industrialize, disregarding strong public opposition. Many who live in the area feel that zoning change on this scale is unreasonable, degrades the character of our community, and offers little benefit in return. Many think New Carlisle has its fair share of industrialization already, and enough is enough. The Director of Economic Development, Bill Chalio, answers to the Board of Commissioners. 300 pages of public comment on the Indiana Enterprise Center Plan taken by Mr. Chalio's office in March and April were released just hours before the County Council voted to rezone 733 acres of prime farmland. That's a huge area. No County Council member had read any of the public comments when they voted. A longtime employee of the county's planning department wrote an exit letter saying that plans for the IEC have been, quote, irresponsible, plagued with mismanagement, and, quote, insensitivity towards the public. So, Mr. Patel, if elected, how would you guarantee public input is considered by the Office of Economic Development and that the public has authentic and inclusive participation in development decisions? You have 2 minutes to answer.
Great. So, Chris, we had a bad connection, but don't worry, I caught everything that you were saying. So just in case the other folks were wondering. All right. So again, I would use the LEAD model. There's a huge mistake in this project. They never use the LEAD model. Listen, engage, be accessible, and be decisive. Let me tell you, a few years ago, when I was in the Senate, I was at Purdue Road School. For those of you that aren't aware of Purdue Road School, they probably have a couple thousand people that attend from around the state. They're engineers, they're economic development folks, they're elected officials, wide range of folks. And so they had a breakout session, and Bill Chalio was leading that. And I'm a St. Joe County guy, and I said, hey, I want to listen to what they're talking about. So he's talking about the IEC project, and that's the first time I had heard of it. My concern with that project is that people in New Carlisle in St. Joseph County didn't even have the information, yet they're comfortable going around the state promoting this to thousands of other people. Very disrespectful, in my opinion. to the voters and the taxpayers. When I was in the Senate also, they requested a study of 22,000 acres. I worked for Senator Donnelly at that point, and I said, I told Senator Donnelly, I'm like, we're getting a lot of calls on this. There's too much controversy. They haven't done their homework in order to get enough buy-in for people, from people on the ground. There aren't enough people at the table, supporting this project. We don't need to get involved. We did not get involved. And part of that was because of my recommendation. They then made a proposal to do 7,200 acres. But I didn't agree with that, considering that they were working off a 2002 plan. So under a Commissioner Patel situation, we would use LEAD, L-E-A-D. We would make sure that everybody has a voice, that we're transparent. Commissioner Fleming says she's transparent, but she's not. And the other thing I'll leave you with is I actually own farm ground, not in that IEC area, but I own 80 acres of farm ground. I've owned it for 19 years. And so my property is not for sale. It never has been. But so I come from a farming perspective as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Secondly, for growth to qualify as economic development, it must provide real benefits. And in particular, it must improve the quality of life of area residents. St. Joe County residents have repeatedly stated their objections to the Indiana Enterprise Center. These include water, air, and light pollution, traffic congestion, the destruction of prime agricultural land, and our rural homeland and livelihoods. Previous development attempts such as Blackthorn have failed to bring many long-term jobs to county residents. Do you support the IEC? Or, if elected, would you support the wish of many community members to prevent further industrial development on farmland around New Carlisle? You have 90 seconds to respond.
So Chris, I did not get all of your question. You were really breaking up, but I think it was, do I support the IEC? And then something about protecting farm ground around New Carlisle. Is that the gist?
Yes.
Or if someone else has a question, maybe they can ask it if they have a clear signal. Rabbi? You're muted, Rabbi.
That was the question, what you just.
Oh, just what I rephrased? Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay. So in terms of.
And actually, Hodge, I just put the question also in the chat if you want to read it there. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'll just tell me what the quick question is real quick, just over the voice, and I'll.
Yeah, do you support the Indiana Enterprise Center, or if elected, would you support the wish of community members to prevent further industrial development on farmland around New Carlisle?
Sure. Okay. So basically, if you look back to my response earlier, that 22,000 acre study, I didn't think that made sense. We need to make sure that we have enough people at the table having a voice. I was at that meeting that went till 12:46 in the morning. Commissioner Fleming was nowhere to be seen at that meeting. I don't know, a 6-hour meeting or something. And I heard person after person talk about the fact that, the comments were not read, that were just put online. So I think we need to have a lot more transparency with the project. Today, I had a conversation with the auditor for St. Joseph County to find out how much money is being spent. So I'm still digging into this to find more information. But what I can tell you is I have strong concerns about how stuff has been handled thus far, and it makes me suspicious of moving projects like this along forward, advancing them without having enough information in hand and making sure that everybody has a voice, in this process. I'll tell you, back when I worked for Senator Bai, the Tondu project in New Carlisle was a huge issue, right? And that was defeated. Thanks, Ann, I see the sun. That project was defeated, and it's because people spoke up and the investor ended up walking away. I've spent a lot of time in New Carlisle over the years doing parades and different things that we've done in that community, from infrastructure projects and things like that. So I understand Carlisle is very unique. We need to make sure those folks have a voice as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay, hello, Hodge. My name is Marty Wolfson, and I'm a member of the Community Forum for Economic Justice. As you know, the Indiana Enterprise Center is located within a TIF district. All property tax revenue generated by new investments in the TIF are captured by the district. The other taxing jurisdictions, which include the county itself, the libraries, schools, townships, are shut out, not only from receiving property tax revenue, but also from any input into how that revenue is used. The Redevelopment Commission, a majority of whose members are appointed by the county commissioners, decides how this captured tax revenue is spent. The Redevelopment Commission has already spent millions of dollars from the New Carlisle TIF to promote the IEC, despite overwhelming public opposition. So the question is, if elected, what changes in the use of TIF funds would you support? And would you recommend to the commission that it release tax revenue from the TIF to the county, schools, and the other taxing jurisdictions?
Sure. So, I would use that lead model again: listen, engage, be accessible, and be decisive with the decision. So some people like TIFs, right? If it's a project or an investment that you like, then people are like always supportive of it. If it's a project that you're not interested in, then you're like, oh, TIFs are bad. It's kind of a waste of money, right? So this needs to be visited by our state officials in terms of figuring out how legislatively they're going to change or modify or eliminate TIFs in general. So that's one thing that I want to touch on. TIFs are a tool in a toolbox, right? And so we need to figure out what tools are there. But when money is captured in a TIF, it adversely impacts the general fund of the county, which can be difficult, right? Because there's other services that need to be provided. And Professor Wolfson, you cited a few examples of how those resources could be used. Now, I spoke to someone earlier today about the process for reassigning TIF dollars and what role the county commissioners would play in that. They were not clear in that. And so I'm still waiting to get an answer. So, Professor Wolfson, I don't know if you've done that research to find out if, that's even an option.
Yeah, the county commissions can recommend to the Redevelopment Commission, and the Redevelopment Commission can declare in any given year that not all the property tax revenue collected in the TIF is necessary for economic development projects. Right. And so then it can be returned to the other taxing jurisdiction. So another question, if elected, how will you work to provide transparency and meaningful public input on all decisions affecting economic development and TIF districts, not only from citizens, but also from representatives of the other taxing jurisdictions?
So how long do I have for this, Ann?
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
90 seconds? Okay, all right. So let me tell you what I've been doing. I announced in November I did an exploratory thing in November. December I announced, and in January I started attending not only city council meetings, but county council meetings and county commissioner meetings. And that is just to get a better handle on what's going on. And what I've learned is that there's not a lot of communication. These different organizations are working in silos, and we need to take down those silos and start having conversations as elected officials. And through those conversations, we need to use that lead model and make sure that we're engaging people in the community, people that are directly impacted through these decisions before they're made. So that's the approach that I would take, once elected, is to work with and not against folks and make sure that people have a seat in the process. Transparency is very important to me, and lead is part of being transparent. Commissioner Fleming has refused to debate me. She will not do a head-to-head debate with me because she's hiding from God knows what out there. I'm going to say probably the IEC, the 911 center, budget spending in the county, the LEAF program. I can go on. And so she doesn't want to face me. And so I think it's important, the South Bend Tribune highlighted, there shouldn't be a debate about debates. But she's making this an issue that shouldn't be. Just step up and let's have these transparent conversations and let the voters make the best decision on whether she's earned re-election or that they want to hire someone new for the position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll turn the program back to the Faith in Indiana host, Rabbi Friedland.
Okay, so Mr. Patel, since you mentioned engage in your LEAD, that's what we're interested in. So if elected, will you commit to meet with representatives of the organizations here tonight within the first 90 days to advance the priorities that we've discussed tonight?
Absolutely. I don't see why I wouldn't. My past interaction with Faith in Indiana, I think folks can attest to that, I met with them on a regular basis in that role, and there was not like a requirement to make a commitment to do that. But I think that if other groups reached out to me, I would do the same. I think it's important. I've had conversations with folks in open spaces as well. And Garrett and I sat down, I don't know, probably in December initially. So I met with some of your other members at Martin's Supermarket over by Notre Dame, right? So, I mean, yeah, I'm always open to having conversations with folks. Yeah.
Now, okay, good. That's terrific. Now, we'd like to give you 1 minute to offer some closing remarks.
Sure. I think when you're going to hear Commissioner Fleming here in a few minutes, I think you're going to see a huge difference in the focus on the issues that are important, the transparency piece. And of course, you're not going to hear anything about LEAD from her. She's been in there for 6 years. She hasn't even once raised her hand to be president of the commissioners. And she's had 6 opportunities to do that because they've been in the majority for 6 years. So if you want new leadership, you should support our campaign. We're out there making a difference. We're impacting people's lives. I've talked to a number of folks who have reached out to me. For Commissioner Fleming, they reached out to her. She won't even pick up the phone. And in one situation, a young man was killed when crossing the railroad tracks over in Osceola. And I've come up with some solutions on how to help that family. So vote for Hodge Patel for District 3 County Commissioner, and you'll have a voice and you'll have a leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Hodge, for sharing your vision with us. We appreciate you spending time with us tonight. We now ask you to leave our meeting, and we will be inviting Commissioner Fleming to join us. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate it. And get out and vote, regardless of whether it's for me or for anybody else. Thank you.
Hey, we're going to invite Megan Umlauf in. She is the campaign manager for Ms. Fleming, but I am not sure if Deb Fleming is in the waiting room yet. Megan, are you in? Yes, there you are. Oh, and there's, okay, very good.
This is Chris Humbarger. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Chris, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
For purposes of new attendees joining us and for Commissioner Fleming, we will fully repeat the agenda. For those of you attending both sessions of the forum, parts of this repetition, so thank you for bearing with us. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Radcliffe. I am a member of the Open Space and Agricultural Alliance. On behalf of all the sponsors of this candidate forum, I wish to welcome Commissioner Deb Fleming and the audience participants. For all of those attending tonight, we ask that you please use the chat function to share your name, your city of residence, and any relative organization with which you are affiliated. Thank you.
My name is Rabbi Michael Friedland. I'm the rabbi at Sinai Synagogue, which is in District 3. I also live in District 3. And I wanted to let you know that this evening, Ann Hayner is going to be our timekeeper. She'll be holding up a sign indicating when you have 30 seconds left to your remarks, and then indicating when time is up. We want to introduce you to the groups that you're meeting with this evening. The St. Joseph County Chapter of Faith in Indiana, which I'm a member of, our congregation is a member of, has 17 member congregations and community groups, and it is in relationship with many more congregations. We are Catholic and Jewish and Pentecostal. We are brown and black and white, and we support our members in building power to address issues that impact our families and neighbors. We've worked with the sheriff, with the South Bend mayor, county commissioners, and the county health department to address issues of immigration, treatment, not incarceration, police accountability, and COVID testing on the West Side. We are part of a statewide network that is currently having deep conversations with thousands of voters, especially people of color, women and young adults, helping them know that their voice and their vote is important. So Faith in Indiana is a statewide organization. We are glad to be hosting this event with our sister organization in the work for racial and economic justice, ACT Indiana, and also with the Open Spaces and Agricultural Alliance.
The Open Space and Agricultural Alliance is a grassroots group of farmers, environmentalists, and everyday people in St. Joe County united to stop the Indiana Enterprise Center and to protect prime farmland, water, and the health of our communities. We launched in the spring of 2018 when we discovered a plan to develop an industrial park on 22,000 acres of farmland, acreage roughly the size of the city of South Bend. Since his discovery, we have worked with county commissioners, members of the county council, area plan commission, county drainage board, and redevelopment commission to address concerning issues about the Indiana Enterprise Center plan and to increase transparency in county government. We are glad to be here tonight with Faith in St. Joe County and ACT Indiana to increase awareness of issues that connect us across St. Joe County. Thank you.
All right, so the purpose and format of this evening is, it will be like this. The purpose of the forum is to build a relationship with the candidates for Commissioner, District 3, and to engage with candidates on issues that help our constituency make informed decisions. So this is going to be the format. We met with Mr. Patel for the first part, and now we're going to get to know you, Commissioner Fleming. And so each of you have the same amount of time. We're first going to let you introduce yourself and why you're running. Then there are 4 questions on 4 different topics with a follow-up question for each topic. And then we're going to invite you to make a closing statement. The session is being recorded and it'll be made available to the public.
At this time, I invite Commissioner Fleming to please introduce yourself, your values, and why you are running for County Commissioner. You have 2 minutes in which to do so.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me or see me now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, good evening. And, you know, I am Dr. Deb Fleming, and I am running for re-election for County Commissioner because I care deeply about St. Joseph County and our district, okay? Just for your information, okay, I am a lifelong resident of St. Joseph County and the 3rd generation to call this community home, okay? My parents grew up here. Both of my parents went to Mishawaka High School. My grandparents were from Mishawaka too. My grandmother worked over 40 years at the Ball Band. My grandpa worked at the Studebaker facilities. When they closed in the early 60s, he closed too. And then I grew up here in Mishawaka on Riviera Drive, and I graduated from Mishawaka High School, where I was a female athlete. And I was the first female athlete inducted into the Mishawaka Athletic Hall of Fame. I complete both my undergraduate and dental degrees at the University of Kentucky, and I went there on a volleyball scholarship. So I went down there, and then I joined my dad in his dental practice and came up here. And I've been practicing dentistry for almost 30 years here. And I raised my children here, and I have continued to be heavily involved in a variety of community and professional organizations locally, including I joined the Junior League of South Bend, and I'm in the Mishawaka Beta Gamma chapter of Tri Kappa, okay? I'm in the Indiana Dental Association Council of Government Affairs, and past president of both the Mishawaka Dental Society, the North Central Dental Society, and I'm very involved in my church because I'm a proud Christian. And I go to Grace United Methodist Church, and I also serve in the Mishawaka High School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. And I continue to be involved in local youth sports as a volleyball official for the area high schools and volleyball clubs.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleming, for your comments. We appreciate them greatly.
Well, I decided to run for commissioner because I saw an opportunity to put my years of community involvement, okay, experience as a small business owner, unique perspective as a healthcare professional, and passion for helping people, which I've always wanted.
Commissioner Fleming, we're going to need to wrap this up soon, please.
Well, let me just say, that I'm just so passionate about helping people, which is why I wanted to become a dentist. I wanted to become a dentist because I wanted to
Commissioner Fleming, for equal time for Hodge kept to the time, we're going to keep you to the time strictly also, okay? So for the first two questions on specific issues, we will turn the program over to ACT Indiana. Clara Davis has the first question for you.
Good evening. My name is Clara Davis. I'm a member of Abundant Faith Family Ministries, which is located in District Number 3. I have worked for 7 years in healthcare. I'm also a certified community health worker. I have a son who had COVID and he suffered greatly. Our community has suffered greatly during this pandemic. Ms. Fleming, Indiana is 49th out of 50th in funding for public health, and I'm quite sure you're aware of that. The St. Joseph County Health Department has been underfunded for many years compared to Elkhart and Allen County health departments. We are all aware that our health department is vital during a pandemic, but in normal times, it is also needed to address infant mortality, adverse childhood experiences, and other health issues in our community. With proper funding from the county, the pay scale at the health department could be more competitive. They could hire community health workers and take other steps to make our community. If elected, would you work to increase funding for the St. Joseph County Health Departments? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, when I first ran for commissioner, I knew about background as a small business owner and healthcare professional would give me a unique perspective of the Board of Commissioners. But now that we find ourselves in the middle of a once-in-a-century global health crisis, I think that my background has been an even greater asset than I first anticipated, okay? And I just want to have everybody to be happy and healthy. And so fortunately this year, our county health department under normal circumstances already does so much to ensure the health and safety of our community. And COVID has turned a spotlight on local health departments in such an unprecedented way. While the 2020 budget of the health department did not foresee our current health issues with the COVID-19, but fortunately what is happening now is that we're getting a lot of reimbursement, from the COVID accounts that we have, the COVID-19 accounts from the state and from the federal government and stuff like that. So they are coming to us at our meetings and they're requesting, can we do this? Can we do these grants? And we're saying, yes, 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 because again, we want to help. I want to help, everybody get happy and healthy. I want this to be a really good place to stay. And, I'd really love us to get over this issue right now. So I'm not opposed or anything to make sure that we have the funding for our health department. So.
Thank you so much for answering that question and the comments, but I just would like to ask a question again. Would you work to increase the funding for St. Joseph County Health Department?
Well, I've been working with Dr. Bob a lot. I meet up with him a lot too, and we talk. And so we kind of agree on a lot of different things that we're doing. And so if there's any issues that they have or any ways of funding, they request it and then we approve it. Okay. So they're the ones coming up with a good suggestion or recommendation and we say yes. But then also the council is the one that really has to, approve a lot of the other funding too. So anyway.
Thank you, Ms. Patel. I have a follow-up question. If elected, how will you press? If elected, how will you press for increased funding from the state of Indiana for local health departments? You have 90 seconds to respond.
Well, we hired a person that actually does and applies for grants and for refunding for our COVID-19 issue. So we've hired a person to do that. And oh my gosh, we've got over almost $1.5 million responded now for upgrading because we've had so many investments and stuff like that for our COVID. So again, if we can get rid of this, maybe in the future, then we won't have to pay for it. But then again, working with Dr. Bob a lot on what we might be able to do in the future to work together to make sure that our county is happy and healthy. And so, like I said, we've been touching base and catching up and trying to do that. So again, I let them and, come to our commissioners and request what it is that they would like. And then we move forward in that way. But I do talk to him, and he does agree with a lot of the things that I'm suggesting too, that we're moving forward with. And he goes, "Oh, good idea, Deb." I said, "Well, great, thank you, yes." So anyway, yeah, I like working with. And again, I just want our county to be happy and healthy, and I'm praying to God that He make us healthy, please. So anyway.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fleming. And I also wanted to apologize to you sincerely. I switched the names up, so please forgive me on that behalf and being so gracious. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Commissioner Fleming, I'm Rhonda Hughes, a longtime member of Broadway Christian Parish United Methodist Church in District 3. As a volunteer, I do advocacy work with our hospitality guests, most of whom are currently homeless or semi-homeless, and in normal times, I also visit our guests who are in the county jail. The St. Joseph County jail population went from 48 in the mid-1970s to 620 at the beginning of this year. Many people in the jail have struggled with mental health and substance abuse issues. We do not have a medical detox in our county that takes Medicaid patients. The jail is the de facto detox center in St. Joe County and the place where many people first get mental health treatment. We believe that as a county and a community, we can do better. Our question to you, how would you address the dramatic increase in our county jail population and the challenges with access for many in our community to mental health and substance abuse services? If elected again, will you pursue ongoing funding for recovery coaches and street outreach workers to help those struggling with substance abuse, mental health challenges, and chronic homelessness? You have 2 minutes.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate that question so much. No one can deny the incredible impact that mental health and substance abuse disorders have had on our community. This is personal for so many of our residents, and there's so many work to do done around mental health and substance abuse services. And, oh my gosh, years ago and for years, I would get calls from supposed patients that would request, they wanted me to send them, "Oh, I'm in so much pain, Dr. Fleming, can you send me this, Medicaid?" I'm like, no, I don't know you, I can't do that. So I didn't want to do that. So anyway, I'm concerned about that. And so the first regarding treatment rather than incarceration, there are several factors, many outside of our local control, number of inmates in our county jail at any point of time. Criminal code reforms at the state and federal levels play at a critical role in this. Generally speaking, I value rehabilitation and would much rather see treatment over incarceration. Because substance abuse and mental health disorders are often two co-occurring, they often must be treated simultaneously. And our criminal code ought to give law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges the guidance necessary to permit that. And we must access all levels and branches of government to help Hoosiers access treatment and recover from the branches of, from substance abuse disorder, and arrest and prosecute the dealers whose actions cause harm to residents in our community. And I don't know if you know that one of the things I've been pushing for, and I've been talking with, well, I just talked with Dr. Bob, and he's very, very excited about it, is I'm thinking that once people get into the jail and they have, mental health issues and they're addicted, okay, and when they get out of jail, I would like to have a facility for them to be in, to be treated and stuff like that. And I've been trying to work on that for the last couple of years, but we haven't been able to do that. But when I discussed the options with Dr. Bob, he was very excited about this. He goes, "Oh, yes, Deb, that would be great." So he emailed me, and so hopefully we can work on it, because I was even thinking that maybe we could put together a facility that we could work with Elkhart County, we could work with Plymouth County, Marshall County, and Plymouth and anyway, work together so that we could get things done, so that we could help these people that, because if they get out of jail a lot, what happens is they end up, you know, going back into.
Commissioner Fleming, we want to make sure that you have enough time to answer the other questions. So thank you for that answer.
But yeah, trying to push things, you know, and again, you know, our sheriff now, what happened is he's actually hired a person that comes in now, or not one person, but anyway, so that's something.
Commissioner Fleming, our follow-up relates to this same topic. Let us continue. Would you also partner with Faith in Indiana, the sheriff, Oaklawn, and other community groups to pursue funding both from county resources and from the state of Indiana for a low barrier intake hub or crisis stabilization unit that serves as an alternative to taking someone with substance abuse or mental health challenges to the ER or to the jail? You have 90 seconds.
I'm sorry, what was that question again? It was with the jail? What now?
Rather than at the end of incarceration, a hub or crisis center where people could go rather than to the jail. So will you cooperate with various organizations, including Faith in Indiana, the sheriff, Oaklawn, and other community groups to garner funding both at the county and at the state level to create a crisis stabilization unit that serves not as an end incarceration site, but rather a diversion at the beginning that keeps fewer people from ending up in the jail?
Well, again, it's my understanding, though, that the people go into jail because of what the laws are to do, okay? But then once they're there, then we need to help them so that when they come out, they don't fall back into the issues that they've had when they went to jail, okay? But I don't know if you know that the state of Indiana is providing funding of $1 million this year for the opioid overdose reversal medication to help keep people alive and give them the chance to recover from substance abuse disorder. So, you know, the state is trying to help put some money in there to help those people too. But again, I'm just trying, and again, I met with the sheriff and he agrees with what I'm saying. I met with our county attorney and he agreed with what I'm trying to do too. He goes, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Thank you. So again, they would like to move forward with that if we can. And so that's why I'm probably going to touch base with Dr. Bob and get things going and see how we can move forward with that. Because again, I want to help people. I want people to be happy, healthy. And again, if they're addicted, they have mental problems, I want to help. But unfortunately, right now with the COVID-19, and I think I just saw in the Tribune, you know, that there's more and more people being addicted to, you know, to drug addiction and stuff and again, committing suicide and stuff. And I'm so disappointed in that. And that's why I'm praying for our community to get better, happier, healthy, and lovelier. That's what I'm always trying to help people do the right thing, the best thing, and help people happy and healthy.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleming. The next question is from Chris Humbarker.
Thank you.
Not hearing you, Chris.
Andre, maybe you could read the question.
I'm quite fine with reading it also, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, why don't we go forward?
Yeah, Amy, please go ahead, Amy.
Okay, thank you. So, Commissioner Fleming, the Director of Economic Development, Bill Shalliel, answers to the Board of Commissioners. 300 pages of public comment on the Indiana Enterprise Center plan taken by Mr. Shalliel's office in March and April were released just hours before the County Council voted to rezone 733 acres of prime farmland. No County Council member had read any of the public comments when they voted. A longtime employee of the county's planning department wrote an exit letter saying plans for the IEC have been, quote, unquote, irresponsible and plagued with mismanagement and, quote, insensitivity towards the public, unquote. If elected, how would you guarantee public input is considered by the Office of Economic Development? and that the public has authentic and inclusive participation in development decisions. You have 2 minutes to answer.
So you want to know what I'm doing economically, is that right?
The question is, if elected, how would you guarantee public input is considered by the Office of Economic Development and that the public has authentic and inclusive participation in development decisions? As the prelude to this question pointed out, there was very little citizen involvement. It was, I won't characterize it. I think you understand the question.
Huh. Well, yeah, and I would say that we always have open, meetings for people to make comments and stuff. And we're still trying to plan things in place and make sure, and then we're trying to do the right thing with things like that. But we also ask people to come in and, please let us know what you're thinking, give us some ideas and things like that, because, I feel like, I ask a lot of my people, what do you think I should do? What do you feel about that? So I like to work with people to make sure that I'm representing people the right way and doing the right thing and the best thing for them. So yeah, I'm for people, let us know what you want to do. Let us know the best thing that we can do. And then, work with us on how you think we can help our county get things better, economic upgraded, things like that. Because I don't know if you knew back in the 70s, a lot of you were probably back in the 70s again. We were the 3rd largest county in the state. Did you guys know that back then? And then again, back then we shut down, and now we're almost going in the 6th or 7th largest county in the state. And we've not had, a lot of economic growth and stuff. And my father was always disappointed too, because, he was a dentist and he originally had his practice in downtown South Bend at the JMS building, and it shut down there in the early 70s. And so he had to move his practice to Mishawaka, but it upgraded. And then even when I was there, I've had a lot of patients that would say, oh, Dr. Fleming, I'm so sorry, I can't come back because I don't have any job anymore. I'm like, oh, really? I'm so sorry. And again, now the last 2 years though, we have upgraded our economy more than anything in the past. We have more people working in the county now for the last 2 years, which I'm still pushing for that, so we can upgrade our economy, making it a good place to live. And people, and again, I don't know if you guys know that I also made the county age friendly to help our age citizens as well. And I want to help our youth too, that they can find jobs here and stay too. So I want our county to grow. I want us to be nice and happy. I want people to love to live here. I want everybody to be good. So that's what I'm pushing for, is to make sure that, we're doing the right thing, the best
Great.
thing.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Fleming. I would like to continue along this same line of questioning. For growth to qualify as economic development, it must provide real benefits, and in particular, it must improve the quality of life of area residents. St. Joseph County residents have repeatedly stated their objections to the Indiana Enterprise Center. These include, but are not limited to, water and air pollution, traffic congestion, and the destruction of prime agricultural land and rural livelihoods. Previous development attempts, such as Blackthorn, have failed to bring many long-term jobs to county residents. Here's your question. Do you support the Indiana Enterprise Center, or if elected, would you support the wish of community members to prevent further industrial development on farmland around New Carlisle? You have 90 seconds to respond.
Okay. Well, again, my father was telling me back in the time when I was working with him too, that he was concerned again that our economy hasn't been moved up, and that they had a plan in place on the west side and hadn't moved anything up. And I'm like, really? I didn't really realize that. And so then when I first became county commissioner, we hired our economic development director, Bill Shalio, because I wanted to upgrade everything and make things better. And so what we're doing now is we're trying to assess that area. And again, when they first started it, it was this big area. I'm like, well, that's too big. No. So we hired our consultants to go through and decide what would be the best thing to do. And so, we're doing that now. And so we're bringing it down so that it's in the right area, so that we can absolutely offer the position, so that we can bring in some, businesses, but we're still going to have good places for people to do, their farming and things like that where they're located at now. So, I kind of understand that, but again, I just want to make sure that, we continue to grow our economy really a good thing, the best way, but then we do it the right way too, so that we make sure that everything's done well, helps everyone.
Mr. Fleming, may I interject? Because it was a fairly simple question. I just would like to ask you, do you support the IEC or not?
Well, I generally do. Yeah, I mean, I do support that because, again, I like working with the state, and the state is the one that worked with us to try to help move that forward. But again, I didn't want it so big as what it said initially, so that's why, again, we narrowed it down, and I said, well, I think it needs to be, again, pretty much where it is now. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad place. So then we can improve the streets, the roads, all that kind of stuff, upgrade things, make things the right thing. So then we can have a nice place where people can work, but then have wonderful places where people can still do their farming. Because again, I'm very honored of people that doing the farming. I think it's a wonderful thing that they can do.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for your comments. At this point, we're going to move on to Marty Wolfson, and he will talk about tax increment financing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marty Wolfson, and I'm a member of the Community Forum for Economic Justice. As you know, the Indiana Enterprise Center is located within a TIF district. All property tax revenue generated by new investments in the TIF are captured by the district. The other taxing jurisdictions, which include the county itself, the libraries, schools, and townships, are shut out, not only from receiving property tax revenue, but also from any input into how that revenue is used. The Redevelopment Commission, a majority of whose members are appointed by the county commissioners, decides how this captured tax revenue is spent. The Redevelopment Commission has already spent millions of dollars from the new Carlisle TIF to promote the IEC, despite overwhelming public opposition. So my question is, if elected, what changes in the use of TIF funds would you support? And would you recommend to the commission that it release tax revenue from the TIF to the county schools and the other taxing jurisdictions? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I don't know if you guys know the other TIF districts that the Mishawaka has. They have over $18 million in TIFs. South Bend has over $31 million in TIFs. We just have just about $3,800,000 in TIFs, okay? And the most of it is in the New Carlisle area, which is around a little over $2 million there. And so we're using that to help that area. So, we actually got a new fire truck there, for you guys, paid over $1 million to do that. And we got the material in there to get the Wi-Fi in there for that. So we're upgrading that, using that. We're fixing the roads in that area too at times to that. So, and then the money from that the original money does go to the school systems there too. So we don't keep that away from that. So again, that to me, that's just a way of how we can help that area do things better, improve everything and make sure everybody, I feel much better now because we're safer, we're happier, we're healthier. Yes. So yeah.
So I take it your answer is no. Second question. If elected, how will you work to provide transparency and meaningful public input on all decisions affecting economic development and TIF districts, not only from citizens, but also from representatives of the other taxing jurisdictions? You have 90 seconds to respond.
Well, I've always been for transparency, okay, because that's one of the things that when I became in, we had no access to really how people could find out things and do things the right way. So I'm definitely for transparency. I want to make sure people are aware of things and they're knowing what's going on and stuff like that. So that's what I'm really trying to do too, is to work with everybody to make sure, that things are doing the right way, the best way, and that, I am for transparency. So yeah.
Thank you. Now we'll turn the program back to the Faith in Indiana host, Rabbi Friedland.
Leave after 9 o'clock.
Yes, right. We're going to finish up right now. The reason we wanted this meeting is because we believe very strongly in connecting with our elected officials. So, Commissioner Fleming, if you are reelected, will you commit to meet with representatives of the organizations here this evening within the first 90 days to advance the priorities that we've discussed with you tonight?
Oh, yeah. You know, I've tried to meet up with all kinds of people all the time. And in fact, when I got there, one of the first things I asked was, oh my gosh, do we have department head meetings? Because I had them in my dental practice. And they said, no, we don't. What? And so I met up with our department heads and I'm listening to what we can do to upgrade, make things better, do things better. So we're working that way. Okay. And then I also put together a youth leadership plan to meet up with kids in our county, because again, I wanted to help the kids, you know, understood what's going on in the county and stuff like that. Although this year I couldn't meet up with them this year like I did last year. But anyway, you know, with those, and even with our department head. But anyway.
So, Commissioner, so I assume the answer is the answer yes or no, that you will meet with us.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay, we'd like to give you 1 minute to offer closing remarks.
Oh well, again, I'm just so passionate about helping our community, doing the right things, and you know, I'm just honored with serving our community and helping everybody. And again, I am moving the right things forward. And again, I'm a visionary. I'm not a reactionary. So I try to see what is the best thing that we can do for things. And I'm appreciative working with our department heads, and we're working things together, and they really appreciate that. And we're upgrading our customer service, which is another thing I've been working on, moving on, is updating our customer service and helping our citizens feel like they're being treated better and served better. And that's what I really want to do. My disappointment thing is the first thing I did one of the first things I put a committee together for my energy savings plan thing, because when I got there, I was shocked at how oh my gosh, these buildings are really not doing the right thing, shutting down. So I put together this energy savings committee and we came up with a plan. Unfortunately, it took the council almost 2 years to approve it, but they did. And we're saving the county citizens $750,000 a year now. So they're not having to pay taxes. I don't want to raise your taxes. I want to make everything as efficient as possible as we move forward. And again, so we have been saving. And then the other thing that happened.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Commissioner Fleming. We're on a time schedule here. So I want to thank you for sharing your vision with us. We appreciate you spending time with us tonight. And again, I want to thank all the participants for attending. This concludes our program for the evening.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to meet up with me, just let me know, because I'd love to meet up with people. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleming.
I pray for our county and I pray for everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.